Thanks for listening to English Go Podcast. If you'd like to listen without adverts, read episode transcripts, or listen to extra bonus episodes, please check the description for more details. It's 7 a.m. and I've just woken up. Well, I've not just woken up. I woke up at 6 a.m., but I didn't get up at 6 a.m. That's when my alarm clock normally goes off, at 6 a.m. But I was feeling a bit lazy, so I stayed in bed for another hour. So anyway, I got up at 7 a.m. and it's 24 degrees Celsius indoors, in this room. So not cold at all, really. 24 is about like normal, comfortable temperature, isn't it? Outside, it's half that. It's 12 degrees, which is a little cold, but, if you were to put a coat on, very pleasant weather. And it's a nice sunny day. Just looking outside the window, it's a nice sunny day, and I think the sun's going to be out for most of the day. Can't see too many clouds in the sky. Anyway, I just stepped out onto my balcony, and I was just looking across the scene, because looking at the view, because we're quite high up here in my flat. And I was looking at all the mountains on one side. I can just about see Mount Fuji today. And then I look to my left and I can see these really tall buildings, tall skyscrapers, and so on in Tokyo. And I can see this every day. It's a scene that I'm really used to seeing. And as I was just looking at it, I just sort of thought, wow, I'm in Japan. Like it was something that I just realized. And maybe that sounds a bit odd. Maybe you would think that, I'm constantly aware of the fact that I'm in Japan. I wouldn't say I ever forget that I'm in Japan. I think if someone said, "Where are you?" I'm not going to say anywhere other than Japan. But it's amazing how somewhere that's rather different from your sort of home country can end up feeling like home after a reasonably short amount of time. Because I've been here for around 10 months now. And every morning I wake up, and every morning I look outside the window, and every morning I see the same view. So you can't always keep waking up and keep looking out the window and keep thinking, look at that, that's Japan. I mean, I may have done that, the first few months I was here. But after a certain amount of time, your brain just starts to ignore that fact. It just looks out the window. Well, it doesn't look at you, look out the window. And your brain just sees, that's the sight I see every morning. That's normal. That's home now. So it is such a weird feeling it's almost like being caught off guard. Caught off guard is an idiom, which means you were just hit with something you weren't expecting. You were caught off guard. So it's like being caught off guard. I'm looking out of the window. Everything feels normal. There's nothing weird about what I'm seeing whatsoever. And then this small part of your brain just sort of says, hang on a minute, that's Japan out there. And that's when you sort of feel a bit like shocked, like, yeah, that is Japan. And think about how far I am away from home at the moment. I mean, thousands of miles. I think it's about 6,000 miles away, or around 10,000 kilometers away from England, from the country that I actually still call home, which is weird. when I'm talking to people, I still refer to England as home, even though at the moment it definitely isn't. You know, like in a conversation, oh yeah, we have those back at home. We have those back in England. Which doesn't really make sense anymore, because Japan is my home. My house is here. And like I was saying, it's amazing how quickly it has, well, this country and this place I'm living in has ended up feeling like home. But it's like my brain can't fully understand it. It's like such a weird thing to do, such a weird concept, that it just can't deal with it. It can't cope with it. So there's, like I said, there's this part that's like, yep, this is home now. I understand that, accept that. And there's like another half of it which doesn't really understand that at all. It's weird. It's a strange feeling. If you've ever moved home to another, particularly to another country, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to think of the time when I moved from Birmingham to Manchester, and I know it's only a very short distance away, like by car. It's about between an hour and a half to 2 hours, depending on the traffic. But I remember feeling like I'd moved a long distance away, just because everyone had an accent that was different to my local accent that I was used to in Birmingham. Having said that, I don't actually have like a Birmingham-style local accent anyway, but so maybe when people heard me speaking in Birmingham, they thought I came from elsewhere anyway. But I remember being in Manchester and going to like supermarkets and thinking, everyone's going to know that I'm not from Manchester because I don't sound like I'm from Manchester. And it was weird just hearing this different accent all the time, just to change the accent to something completely different from the Birmingham accent. And I think that took a little while to get used to, maybe like a few months or so, but after that, I was fine with it. You know, it's like, okay, used to that now. This is home. And yeah, I think my brain got used to that, adjusted to it pretty quickly. But that's just moving within the same country. And, not a lot changed. Didn't change my language or anything like that. And when I moved, I got to take lots of items with me, like personal belongings, with me to the new place. And took my car with me. And, so there's lots of familiar sort of like links, sort of ties from one place to the other. I mentioned this before, but obviously before I came to Japan, I had to sell loads of things. And my car had to go. And I really missed that car. Normally, I don't care about cars whatsoever. Like, I wouldn't describe myself as a car person. But that was, I enjoyed driving that car. It was a Mini Cooper, a convertible Mini Cooper. So you could open the roof, which you couldn't do too often in England because it was often raining. So unless you wanted to get wet, you would keep the roof closed. But on the few days that it was sunny, it was really nice to have the roof down and drive around and enjoy listening to my music. And it was a little bit sporty, that car. It had these gigantic wheels, really big wheels, and it was very good at cornering, at turning the corner quite quickly. So I used to drive it a little bit too fast, being a little bit naughty. But anyway, the point is that it's a much stronger like disconnection from my old life to my new life when you move country, because there's so little of your old life left. I've just brought myself to Japan, and I've just bought whatever I could fit in my 2 suitcases, and that's it. That is it. But yeah, despite this, it feels like home. Even though I'm not fluent with the language, even though it's still not easy to live here. I was trying to buy something on the internet the other day from a big store, a big electronics store over here, and it just said, "No, sorry, can't accept your credit card." It was a debit card. Can't accept your debit card because it's a foreign card. It's not a Japanese debit card. I don't know why that makes a difference. So yeah, I'm still running into things that make it a bit difficult to live over here from time to time. But yeah, despite not speaking the language, I do speak the language, despite not being fluent in the language, and despite finding some things difficult from time to time, it feels like home. It's the weirdest thing. I walk outside, I say, like good morning to people, good afternoon or whatever, and it doesn't feel strange anymore like it used to. It feels quite natural. So, the whole point of this podcast episode is just to reassure any of you that might be thinking of doing a similar thing, of moving to another country. Because I would say it is hard at first, but it gets easier over time. And I think there are many things in life that get easier over time. There's a saying, I think, we have, time heals all. And I think there's perhaps a lot of truth in that. Until next time, bye-bye.